It was June of 2000 and I had just turned 17. Like most 17-year-olds, with their driver's license, I kept bugging my mom about getting a car. I should say that it was Mom. My older sister Janice and I were living together. My dad was killed in an auto accident when I was 10. Mom, to her credit, was working 2 jobs to support my sister and me. While we were far from being poor, there wasn't much extra money. Anyway, I asked Mom about getting a car and she said that the only way I could get one would be if I could earn enough to pay for the car, insurance, maintenance, and gas. I think she figured that this would discourage me. I looked in the paper for a job and those that I could get didn't pay enough to be able to afford a car. I was getting discouraged when my Uncle Todd, my dad's twin brother, called asking what I was doing for the summer. He owned a construction company and wanted to know if I would be interested in working there for the summer. I couldn't say yes fast enough. I told him that I wanted to save enough money to buy a car or truck. Uncle Todd was paying me $15 per hour, which I realize now was way more than I was worth, but he made me earn it. I had to be to work by 6 o'clock each morning and we got off between 2 and 5 depending how hot it was. He didn't let me slack and had me hustling all of the time. The construction company had a 1990 Ford F-150 pickup which he let me drive back and forth to work. At the end of the summer, I had managed to save almost $4,000. He asked me what I was going to do with the money I had saved. I told him that I was going to start looking for a used car or truck. He asked me if I liked the truck I had been driving all summer. I told him yes and he asked me if I would be interested in buying it. They were getting ready to trade it in and he would sell it to me for $2,500. I asked Mom and she said it would be okay, but to remember that I had to pay for the insurance and gas. I told her that after paying for the truck, that I would still have $1,500 to support my truck. That summer taught me several lifelong lessons. One was that I didn't want to work in manual labor my whole life. The second was the satisfaction of having something that you earned. The last, and possibly the one that had the biggest impact on me, was when you do a job, or anything else, you do it well and to the best of your ability. When school started, I was on top of the world. I was one of the few kids, my age, which had their own truck or car. I had money to spend on my girlfriend Megan, for doing things and going places. The first big shock came in the insurance bill, $600 for the first 6 months, and that was with the good student discount. Suddenly my $1,500 didn't seem so large anymore. I knew I had to get another job. Cars and girlfriends can be expensive. Unfortunately, between school, sports, I played football, soccer and wrestled, and any kind of social life, it was hard to find a job that would fit around my schedule. I want to digress a bit here. My Uncle Todd had always been a positive role model for me since my dad died. He was the one that got me into sports, the one that thumped me upside the head when I did something dumb and tried his best to teach me what it was like to be a man. But I had always been fascinated watching my mom do Janice's hair. I had always worn my hair a little long, and on more than one occasion, Janice forced me to sit still while she put some rollers in my hair. She said if I was going to wear my hair that long, it should at least look good. Of course I put up a fuss, but that being said, I really enjoyed her rolling and curling my hair. I found myself sneaking in and using her, or Mom's, curling iron and or rollers to curl my hair. Then gradually I would try on a pair of their panties, a bra, and before long I was dressing every chance I could get, which wasn't very often. Because of my long hair, Mom stopped taking me to a barber and started taking me to Sarah's salon, where she got her hair done. I would go in every couple of months for a haircut and always enjoyed being in there. Just before school started, I made an appointment with Sarah to get my hair trimmed. I hadn't had a haircut since May and I was getting pretty shaggy. She noticed on how long my hair had become and how it was all bleached out during the summer. She commented that blonde hair looked good on me and she could add some highlight to my hair so I looked like I was a blonde all year. She would always tease me like that, knowing that I would start squirming, though it was mostly put on. I tried to change the subject by telling about my summer, my new truck, and my need to find a job. Half-kiddingly, I said that I couldn't afford to pay for anything other than a haircut right now, maybe another time. She asked what kind of job I was looking for, and I said something that was flexible enough to work around my schedule. McDonald's and those types of places were out of the question. I told he that if I couldn't find anything, that I would have to either stop playing sports or driving my truck. Sarah mentioned that they were looking for someone to clean up after hours. The hours would be flexible, they would pay $8 per hour, and I would probably work 10 to 20 per week. The job would be to clean up Tuesday through Friday nights. Then sometime over the weekend, I would give the salon a thorough cleaning, wax the floors and such. When I did, it was up to me, as long as it was done by 8 o'clock the following morning. She asked me if I would be interested. I couldn't say yes fast enough. Sarah told me to get my work permit and I could start the following Tuesday afternoon. Then she said something that really boxed me into a corner. She asked me, "Are you serious about letting me highlight your hair blonde?" I had a deer in the headlight look in my eyes. Part of me wanted to say yes so bad, but I was scared to death that this might lead to getting found out. I don't know what will people think. Look, Jamie, my old name, there are lots of guys that come in here all of the time to get their hair highlighted or colored. It is becoming very accepted these days. I didn't realize that. I don't have another appointment for 2 hours now. If you want, I'll put some highlights in your hair, and since you are going to be working here, I'll only charge you for the haircut. Shall we get started? I didn't know what to do. I don't know how many times that I watched women getting highlights when I was in there getting my hair cut, wishing that was me. So I got up my courage and said meekly, "Okay, just don't make them too noticeable." Fantastic, you won't regret this. I'll be right back. With that, she went into the back room and a few minutes later came out with a cape, towels, 2 bowls of color and a handful of aluminum foils. She put the towels around my neck and the cape to cover the rest of me. She parted my hair off into a bunch of small sections, securing each with a clip. "Okay, Jamie, what I am going to do is to highlight your hair with 2 different colors so that it will look subtle but help even out the natural blonde ones you already have. Are you ready?" "Go for it," I said as I could feel myself getting both excited and a little turned on by the thought. Sarah quickly took a before picture and started highlighting my hair. I couldn't see what she was doing as she had me turned away from the mirror. I could feel her tugging my hair and I would hand her an aluminum foil, then I would smell the color she was using. As time progressed, my head got heavier and heavier. After almost an hour, she turned me around and to my surprise, there I was looking like I had a radar antenna attached to my head. She then told me that I had to wait for about 30 minutes for color to process. For the first time I started getting nervous when people started coming into the salon. Sitting there with my head in foils and a cape around the rest of me, I had a couple of women do a double take to see if I was a boy or girl. I could see them go over and talk to Sarah, looking back to me. Each time they looked over to me and smiled. One woman came over and said that I was so brave and that she would like to see her grandson do this. Before I knew it, Sarah came over and started checking some of my foils, proclaiming that I was done. She took me over to the shampoo bowl, washed the color out and put a toner on my hair to help even out the color. What was I getting myself into? I had to wait another 15 minutes for the toner to work. Sarah sat down and said, "Please don't mind those ladies too much. They just aren't that used to seeing a guy in here getting highlights. And, I hope this doesn't embarrass you too much, but they all thought you looked very cute sitting there." We talked for the next few minutes about the job and what was expected to me. that, once I started working there, I could start getting my hair cut, or what else I wanted done, for free. Before I knew it, Sarah was washing and conditioning my hair. She wrapped my hair in a towel and took me back to her station. I sat there looking into the mirror, looking at myself in the mirror. My hair looked different, but it wasn't something that really jumped out at me. The blonding was subtle enough that most of the kids at school will assume that my hair just bleached out during the summer. I could feel a lump in my throat forming when I told Sarah that I loved the way my hair looked. She smiled and said, "So how do you want your haircut today? How about just a trim?" "Okay, but I think about something a little different will look better." "Do you trust me?" Yes, I guess." She wasted no time and started cutting and cutting. It was certainly more than just a trim. When she had finished, my new cut turned out to be a long, stylish cut that really showed off my new blonde hair. While it wasn't what I was thinking about, I had to admit that it looked good on me. Also, I could imagine how it would look if I curled it into a feminine style. "I love it, Sarah. Thank you so much for talking me into doing this." "I didn't talk you into anything you didn't already want." With that, I paid here, with a very nice tip. I couldn't get home fast enough to show Mom and Janice my hair and to tell them about the job. But, on the way home I decided that I wouldn't say anything about my hair and see if they noticed. I told them about the job and they both thought it was a wonderful idea. The fact that they would let me work around my other interests was fantastic. Mom did say that if my grades dropped at all I would have to quit though. They both commented on my haircut. It looked very stylish. Mom said, "I didn't realize how much your hair got bleached out this summer." Janice followed with, "I didn't realize it either. You know, Jamie, blonde does suit you. You should let me keep you blonde all year." I almost couldn't control myself, but I didn't tell them about getting my hair highlighted. Well, I had passed my first test. I figured that if Mom and Janice didn't realize what I had done, then the kids at school probably wouldn't either. I went and changed my clothes and drove to the afternoon practice. On the way I stopped by my girlfriend Megan's house. She wanted to see my haircut after I got done. Megan and I had been together for almost a year. She was a senior too and was on the cheerleading squad. Megan liked my new hairstyle, but looked closer and smiled. "Jamie, it looks like you just had your hair highlighted." "Don't get me wrong, I love it. I think it makes you look so sexy." My worst fear had been realized. I had been made. I tried to deny it, which made things worse. The more I talked, the deeper I was digging my hole. "Methinks he doth protest too much," Megan giggled. Finally, I had to tell her the truth. I told Megan about getting my hair done and about my new job. She got all excited and told me how much she really liked going to the salon and getting her hair done. Thinking back, I remembered that she did go to the salon a lot. I just hadn't really paid any attention to it. "Please don't tell anyone about this." It seemed like a good idea at the time. So I guess I'll get plenty of kidding. "Don't worry, Jamie, I won't tell anyone." Besides, the only reason I noticed them was because my Aunt Lois was in the salon when you were getting your hair done. You haven't met her, but she thought she recognized you from our junior prom picture. She didn't say anything to you because she wasn't sure and didn't want to embarrass you. Just promise that you will take me with you when you get your roots done." "Roots?" "Yes, silly, now you have to color your new hair growth every 3 to 4 weeks so people won't realize that you have colored your hair." Geez, what did I get myself into? I didn't even think about having to get touch-ups. At least it would be free as long as I worked at Sarah's salon. Megan, I have to be going to football practice. "Do you want to do something tonight?" Sandy asked me to go over to her house and then we were going to the mall. "Do you want to come along?" Then she chided me, "With your new hairdo, you can be one of the girls." With that, she gave me a big kiss. I told her maybe some other time and left for practice. When I got to the school, I started getting real nervous. I would be so embarrassed if one of the guys on the team figured out what I had done. Fortunately, no one even noticed, and the only comment was on my haircut. Mostly the comments were something on the order of "you should have got it cut shorter." Most of the guys had shaved heads. The weekend went well. Megan and I went to an end of summer party Saturday night at a friend's house. I received lots of praises on my haircut. The only comments on my color were something like, "Gee, your hair really got bleached out this summer." Monday morning I went to football practice and then to the school's administration office and got my work permit. I wasn't the biggest guy on the team, 5 feet 7 inches and 140 pounds, but with the guts and drive I showed, I managed to make the varsity team as a running back. The coach said that if I was about 5 inches taller and 40 pounds heavier, that I could probably get a full-ride college scholarship. This was the last week before school started, and practice was every day from 7 to 10 o'clock and 3 to 5 o'clock. Sarah wanted me to start coming in on Tuesday at 5:30. After a week or so, they would give me a key to the shop and it would be my responsibility to make sure it was clean. The first week had me dragging between 2 practices, and work and school hadn't even started yet. I had just enough time to come in from the last practice, shower and get to work on time. The job itself was pretty straightforward. Some of the stylists were still working when I got there. More than once I found myself just watching them work. Sarah noticed a couple of times and commented, "That's something we can do next time." Her comments had the desired effect of turning me bright red. Sam Jensen was my best friend and the other running back. We had a friendly rivalry on who would score the most points. At first it was only a gentleman's bet. But the further into the season we got, the more intense the competition got. Megan and Sandy, Sam's girlfriend and also a cheerleader, got tired of us constantly banging our egos over a silly, worthless bet. They suggested, no, really demanded, that if we were going to carry on like this, there should really be something at stake. "I know," Sandy blurted out, "you two keep putting down the cheerleaders, saying that cheerleading doesn't really take a lot of skill. So if we can get permission, why don't you two bet that whoever loses has to spend the following week as a cheerleader, dressed as a girl of course, and be on the squad for the first basketball game? And, if you tie, then you both have to be on the squad. That way it will give you extra incentive to do your best." Sam and I just stood there dumbfounded. I could see Megan's eyes fill with excitement. Finally, thinking, sometimes I do too much of that the school wouldn't go along with it, I said okay. Sandy and Megan turned their looks at Sam and soon he was saying okay too. We shook hands. Now I was in a real pickle. On one hand, I really wanted to win the bet to feed my ego. On the other hand, this would be a chance of a lifetime to spend a week as a girl. To our surprise, the school went along with the bet. They said that as long as there weren't any issues with the other students and parents, this would be a great way to help build spirit for the school. Sarah had given me a key, so during the week I would come in right after football practice, usually around 6 and be finished by 8 at the latest. I usually went in sometime Sunday and it would take me 4 to 5 hours to finish. If I had a game on Friday night, I would do a quickie cleanup before I went to the game. Occasionally some of the stylists would be working late and again, I found myself watching them. I would imagine what it would be like to work there and that I was getting my hair done. One night, I was all alone. I started emptying the trash and cleaning up the stylist stations. I noticed that Jan had left one of her curling irons on. I started to turn it off when I thought, what the heck? I found a rat tail comb, sectioned out part of my hair and started to curl it. When I finished, I backcombed and styled my hair and sprayed it with hairspray. I turned off the curling iron and finished my cleaning. I couldn't wear my hair that way going home, so I washed it out, towel-dried it, and went home. Over the next several weeks, I would come directly from football practice. Most of the time I had the salon to myself and I found myself trying different hairstyles. On Sundays, I would roll my hair on rollers and let it dry. On a couple of occasions, I took one of the highlighting caps, pulled sections of my hair through the holes and colored them with a fanciful temporary rinse. On one Sunday, I went in as usual. I locked the door behind me and drew the blinds. As part of my usual routine, I first set my hair. This time I did it on perm rods. I washed my hair, proceeded to section out part of my hair and rolled it using end papers. When I finished, I re-wetted each rod with setting lotion. I let my hair dry while I was doing my work. I was in the back room and didn't hear Sarah come in. What do we have here? I was so shocked I almost peed in my pants. I couldn't say a thing but I just wanted to see what I will look like. Well, come over and sit down and let me see what you did. I sat down in her chair and she looked me over for what seemed like several minutes. Finally she commented, "You have done this more than once, haven't you? You have done a fairly nice job rolling your hair. The back is a little crooked but otherwise it looks very good." I was busted. I confessed, saying that yes, I had done this before and that I just wanted to see what different hairstyles would look like. I also said that since working there I have been giving some thought of maybe becoming a hairstylist after high school. We talked for almost an hour about what I had done, what I wanted to do, and about my future. She said that if I was really interested, that after football season I could start working more hours in the salon as their receptionist and assistant. The pay would stay the same but I would be getting more hours. If I decided that I wanted to pursue a career in hairstyling, that they could probably work out an apprenticeship. By now my hair was dry and Sarah started taking the rods out. She combed and teased my hair. When she was finished, she said that this would be close to what my hair would look like if I really got a perm. She turned me so I could look in the mirror. I couldn't believe it. My style was similar to what I had been wearing but much clearer. I told Sarah that I wasn't sure I really liked it that curly. She told me that she thought curly hair would look good on me, but not that curly. The reason I came down was that I noticed that your roots needed to be touched up and I was going to do it for you. So you have two choices: to either wear your new hairstyle home to show your mom and Janice, or let me touch up your roots now. If you wait much longer, everyone will start to see that you have highlights. Most women don't really mind, but I have found that most guys want to get theirs touched more often. Which do you want to do? Also in the future, use one of the mannequins to practice your hairstyling on. I guess we had better do my roots. With that, she told me to continue with my work. Before I finished, she sat me down in her chair and proceeded to put some straight color just on my roots. She explained that this was faster than doing highlights all over, and that I could get away doing this a couple of times before we had to do a full set of highlights again. When the color had finished processing, she washed and conditioned my hair. She told me to go back to her chair and she disappeared into the back room and returned with a cart full of hair curlers. She explained that she wanted to show me what my hair would look like with a little body. I started to protest, but then I thought, why not? Before I knew it, I was sitting under one of the dryers with my head full of 2-inch curlers. When I was finished drying, she removed all of my rollers. I sat there looking into the mirror with my head full of wonderful curls. She combed me out, straightening out my new curls. When she was finished, my hair looked a little fuller, had some waves in it, and my ends were turned up a bit. I told her that I loved the way it looked. It was a little different than I was used to, but definitely not overly feminine looking. I thanked her as she left. I finished up and went home. I loved the way my hair felt light and bouncy. When I got home, Mom and Janice both said, "Oh my God," started to laugh and then stopped and asked me what happened. Figuring that it was about time, I spilled my guts and told them everything. Janice said, "I thought you were enjoying our little sessions more than you let on." She then said, "He looks so nice, I think he wants to lose the bet. Maybe we should put a dress and makeup on him now," and started to laugh. Mom said no and we all laughed. I knew she was just trying to get a rise out of me. We were into our 8th and final week of the football season and in first place in our league. The school wholeheartedly got behind the bet. Half of the students were rooting for me and half for Sam. The computer lab even photoshopped some pictures of Sam and me in cheerleader uniforms. While most agreed that Sam made one ugly girl, I had several come up to me and say I looked cute. Friday night we're playing our arch rivals from Clark High. If we won the game, we would win our league. Sam and I had been going back and forth all season on who was scoring the most touchdowns. Coming into this game, Sam and I were tied with 5 touchdowns each. The Clark High Cougars were tougher than we had thought. There was less than 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter and we were down by 4 points. Neither Sam nor I had scored a touchdown yet. We had the ball on the Cougars' 40 yards line. The quarterback called the play. I was to be Sam's lead block while we swept around the right side. The play went as it was supposed to. The line opened a hole that we went through. Then I couldn't believe it, there was only one guy between Sam and either a really long gain or a touchdown. As I blocked the guy, giving Sam the opening, I started feeling mixed emotions. On one hand, my ego said that I knew that I had probably just lost the bet. On the other hand, I just lost the bet and would be spending the next week as a girl. Sure enough, Sam ran for a touchdown and we ended up winning the game. On the sidelines, Sam came over and said thanks for the block, but said a bet is a bet. To make it worse, the coach came over and said that the local newspaper was going to cover the bet and me becoming a cheerleader. I tried to argue, but it was useless. Megan was actually excited about me losing the bet. She immediately started making plans to feminize me. She said that she had a feeling that I would lose and she had been collecting me a wardrobe. Of course, I feigned a case of jitters saying that I didn't know about this. She said that we would spend all day Saturday getting me ready. We went to a party after the game and I received all kinds of good-natured ribbing. Saturday morning I called and talked to Sarah and told her I lost the bet. She laughed and said the whole town already knows. Sarah told to be at the salon at 5 o'clock and she would be more than happy to give me a makeover. Megan showed up at my house at 9 o'clock with a couple of bags full of clothes. Mom had to go into work but made the comment that it would be nice to have another daughter around, even if it was just for a week. So Megan and Janice started turning me into a girl. They handed me a bottle of hair remover, told me to apply it all over my body, except for my head. I did as I was told, let it sit for 10 minutes and then washed it off in the shower. I washed my hair. I found myself getting excited. I got out and dried myself off. Janice gave me a pair of panties and a bra to put on. I knew that the feeling of putting the panties on would be fantastic, but this was different than when I was sneaking around wearing Mom or Janice's. I next put on the bra and I looked into the mirror. There stood what could have been a flat-chested teenage girl, with the exception of the bulge in my panties. I couldn't believe it. I carefully tucked myself in and then I was flat. I walked back into my bedroom and Janice and Megan just stood there and looked at me. Janice was just making a comment about how I should have been born a girl when Megan came over and gave me a big kiss. Both started to laugh, saying, "I think he is going to like this." Megan pulled out a set of tan B-cup silicone breasts that one of the other cheerleaders had had. She put them in my bra's cups. I looked in the mirror and it looked like I had real breasts. Good, it's a perfect fit. What I am going to do now is to glue them to your skin. I started to protest when she said, "Don't worry, we can remove them right after the bet is over if you want to." What could I say? With that, she took out the forms, slid my bra straps over my shoulders, allowing the bra's cups to fall down, applied adhesive to both my chest and the back of the breast form. She waited a minute, then carefully lined up the first breast form and placed it on my chest. She immediately did the same thing with the other breast form. It was a weird sensation feeling the extra weight on my chest. I could feel that my center of gravity had just changed. With that, she pulled my bra straps back up and the cups neatly fit over my new breasts. I instinctively turned and looked into the mirror. If I had had any doubts before, now I could see a cute teenage girl looking back at me. Janice asked, "What do you think?" All I could think of was that this is different. But both Janice and Megan could see that I was enjoying looking at myself in the mirror. With that, Megan gave me another big kiss. Janice laughed, saying, "Maybe I should leave you two girls alone for a while." We both turned beet red. But we all knew that we liked me being like this. We spent the morning trying on clothes that Megan had brought over and some that Janice had. By lunch, I had a wardrobe that could have lasted me a month. We spent the rest of the afternoon with them teaching how to walk, talk, and act. The only shoes that they had that fit me was a pair of 2-inch pumps. This, of course, meant we were going shopping. I walked in the shoes like it was second nature to me. While I was really enjoying all of this attention, I couldn't help me think what I was getting myself into. Before I knew it, it was almost time to go and see Sarah. I started to put my guy clothes on and they wouldn't have any of that. They had me put on a pleated skirt and a white long-sleeve blouse. Janice got out her curling iron and put a few curls in my hair. Megan put a little eyeshadow and lip gloss on me. They had me look into a mirror and I was shocked. There, looking back at me, was a cute teenage girl. We all got into Janice's car and headed off to Sarah's salon. Sarah asked if I was ready for this and I said, without even having to think about it, yes. I took my blouse off and put on one of the salon smocks. I sat in her chair and she said, "Let's look at you." Between Megan, Janice, and Sarah, it was decided that she would wax my eyebrows, pierce my ears, and give me a manicure, a pedicure, and acrylic nails. Then she said that it was about time to redo my highlights. I didn't say anything. I knew they were in control and I just sat there. But, deep inside me, I was getting very excited. Sarah went into the back room. Megan whispered into my ear, "This is turning me on so much I can't believe it. I think you might be turning me into a lesbian." Sarah returned with 3 bowls of color that looked different than the ones she used the first time. She explained that the first time she went for a very subtle look. Girls today like a little more of a dramatic look. So what I am going to do is to weave in 2 different colors and use a darker base to fill in between. I started to whine that I didn't know about this, that it sounded like it was way too feminine and too dramatic. Of which, Sarah said that is what it is supposed to be, and after the bet is over she could color me back to my original color. That if I wanted her to, what could I say? Just before she started foiling my hair, the door to the salon opened. It was Tom Wiggins from the local paper, the coach, Sam, and most of the football team and cheerleaders. They all came to give me support and to see if I would go through with this or not. It soon became crowded in there. Everyone knew that by blocking for Sam, that I probably knew I was going to lose the bet. But because of the block and my sacrifice, we were able to win the game and the championship. They were there to support me, and that almost made me cry. She started foiling my hair. While she was foiling my hair, the photographer and several of my friends took pictures. Tom Wiggins left saying he would be back when I was finished. The coach, Sam, and most of the others got bored too and left saying they would see me in school. Some of the cheerleaders stuck around saying how brave I was to do this. While I was sitting there, Cindy, the manicurist, came over and started working on my nails. By the time Sarah had finished, I had 10 perfectly oval-shaped nails with 3 coats of a pretty pink nail polish. Cindy then took me over to the queen's chair and started to give me a pedicure while I processed. I sat there thinking, now I know why all of those women came in every week for a pedicure. It felt wonderful. When Cindy was finished, Sarah said it was time to take out my foils. Sarah took me over to the sink, removed all of my foils and washed and conditioned my hair. I always enjoyed the way she would wash my hair and massage my scalp. This time was no different. I was enjoying it very much. Sarah took me over to her chair and combed my hair, saying what she had in mind is giving me body and some curls and waves. She said that she wanted to roll my hair in smaller rollers than she used the first time. What could I say? The cheerleaders started chanting, "Go for it, girl! Go for it, girl! Go for it, girl!" Before I knew it, she had me all rolled up, put me under the dryer and set the timer for 30 minutes, checking periodically to see how I was doing drying. The cheerleaders said they had to be going and left. While I was under the dryer, she brought out the wax pot and proceeded to wax my eyebrows. The first time she pulled off the piece of gauze, I almost came off the chair. I didn't realize that it would hurt so much. When the timer went off, Sarah checked rollers and said that my hair was dry. She carefully unrolled the rollers, but this time, she clipped each curl in place. When she finished, she sprayed my head with hairspray and put me back under the dryer for 5 minutes. I was sitting there when I heard the door open and saw Tom Wiggins come back in. Took a couple more pictures and said he would be back when I was finished. When I was finished drying, Sarah painstakingly combed out each curl, sprayed more hairspray, did a little back combing and finally said she was finished. I couldn't believe how anxious I was to see my new hairstyle, but she turned me so I couldn't see the mirror. "We are almost done." With that, she brought out a piercing gun, and before I knew it, I had a gold stud with a small hoop in each ear. I said, "Can I see how my hair turned out?" She laughed and said that I would have plenty of time to ogle myself in the mirror, that she had one thing left to do. With that, she brought out her makeup kit and proceeded to give me an evening look. Finally, she removed my cape and turned me around. Janice and Megan were all giddy. There, staring back at me, was this very cute girl that looked older than her 17 years. Megan came over and gave me a big kiss, smudging my lipstick. Sarah gave me the lipstick she had used, saying that I would probably need this. Everyone laughed. Just as I was getting ready to leave, Tom Wiggins came back and took more pictures and said it would be in tomorrow morning's paper. When I got home, Mom said she loved the way I looked. She said that I looked better as a girl than I did as a boy and asked me how I felt. I honestly told her that this was a little overwhelming, but that it had been kind of fun, especially the pedicure. Mom asked Megan what she thought about her boyfriend looking like this. Megan laughed, saying, "I think she is so hot." Everyone laughed. Mom said that we should celebrate and she would take us all out to dinner. We went to the nicest and busiest restaurant in town. One of the things about living in a fairly small town is that everyone knows just about everyone. While we were trying to eat, people continually came up to us to give me sympathy for losing the bet. Then I kept getting comments like, "You are so brave for going through this. I can't believe how good you look. If I didn't know better, I would think you are a girl. Are you sure you are just doing this because of the bet?" I responded by telling them thank you, and that one thing that my Uncle Todd taught me was if you are going to do something, do it right. So I am trying to look the best I can. Andy Warhol said, "Everyone has their 15 minutes of fame." I guess this was mine. The rest of dinner went well. I was getting very comfortable in my new role until I had to go to the bathroom. I asked Mom what should I do, and she just smiled and said that the way I was dressed I should use the women's restroom. Megan grabbed my hand and led me into the bathroom and to a large stall. Luckily we were the only ones in there. She told me to sit down and to direct my little cock back, so I tinkled in the water. When I finished, she had me open the stall door and she came in. She gave me a panty liner to catch anything that might want to ooze out. Just as we left the stall, 2 women came in and just smiled at us. I am not sure if they knew who I was or thought we were just being nice. We checked our makeup and returned to the table. Janice asked, "What were you doing in there?" I said that Megan was helping me with my makeup. When we got home, I kissed Megan goodnight and she went home. It had been a long day, and even though it was only 10 o'clock, I told Mom and Janice that I was going to bed. Janice came up to show me how to remove my makeup and moisturize my face. When we had finished, she started to leave. Without even thinking, I asked her, "Do you have something that I can wear to bed?" She just smiled and said, "Of course I do." She returned with a pair of silk pajamas saying, "These should fit you." I think I am going to like having a baby sister around, even though it is only for a week. With that, I undressed and put on my new pajamas, thinking that I really liked the way these felt on me. I went to the bathroom, sitting of course. While I was brushing my teeth, I looked into the mirror thinking how plain I looked without my makeup. Finishing up, I laid down on my bed, and no sooner than my head hit the pillow, Megan was waking me up. "Come on, get up, we have lots of shopping to do." "What time is it?" "It's 9 o'clock and you only have less than an hour to get ready." I couldn't believe how soundly I slept. I did remember one dream that I had had. Megan and I were getting married and we both had a wedding dress on, and I was pregnant. With that, I knew I was enjoying being a girl. Standing in the shower was a totally new experience for me. Even though I knew they weren't real, I could feel the warm drops of water excite and get my nipples hard. Soaping my now hairless body, even though there wasn't much there to begin with, was almost sensual. What surprised me the most was that while I was feeling this way, I never got hard, which is something that almost never happened when I was taking a shower. When I finished, I dried off and, almost instinctively, wrapped the towel around my chest and got out of the shower. I stopped and looked into the mirror, noting that while my hair hadn't got wet, it looked a mess from sleeping on it. I went into my bedroom, and there laying on my bed was a bra, matching bikini panties, a new panty liner, pantyhose, a blue denim skirt with front ties and a V-neck 3/4 sleeve, paisley printed blouse. Looking at these, I couldn't wait to get dressed. The only thing I wasn't sure about was the pantyhose, which I decided to put on later. I quickly got dressed. Looking into my mirror, I quickly fixed my hair the best I could, using just my fingers, and went to the kitchen. Mom, Janice, and Megan were all sitting around the table looking at the paper. When Janice saw me, she told me to come over and showed me the front page of the paper. There was a story about the bet and my transformation, along with several pictures. The article was very good and put me in the light of being the victim, if they only knew. Mom fixed me some fruit and yogurt for breakfast, and I finished reading the article while I was eating. When I finished eating, Janice and Megan said it was time for a makeup lesson. We went to Janice's bathroom and she got out an assortment of her cosmetics. She quickly put foundation, eyeshadow, eyeliner, mascara, and lip gloss on me. She told me to watch because next time I was going to have to do it myself. She then brushed out my hair and sprayed it place with hairspray. Megan then showed me how to put on the pantyhose. She said it would help to keep my legs warm. We went back out to tell Mom we were going to the mall. She gave me $100 to spend. I tried to tell her that I didn't need that much money because this is only for a week. She smiled and said, "Something tells me that this might be for more than a week." Speaking of which, you might want to think of a girl's name to use when you are out. What's wrong with Jamie? It can be used as both a boy's and a girl's name, I said. Honestly, honey, like this, you don't look like a Jamie. Is there another name you like? I thought for a minute and finally said, what about Erin? Mom smiled and said, if you had been born a girl, that was the name I would have named you. Then Erin. Erin McGee it is. Megan said, oh, I almost forgot, the cheerleaders took up a collection from the football team and the student body for you, Erin. I have almost $200 for you too. But $100 of that has to go towards your cheerleader outfit. We can get that Monday after school. With that, Janice, Megan and I took off. I know Mom really wanted to come along but said we would have more fun if it was just ourselves. On the way there, we discussed what we were going to get. We decided that my first priority would be to get some shoes, then some more lingerie, and finally my own makeup. We went from shoe store to shoe store, not really sure what we were looking for. It seemed like the only ones that we all liked and fit me were very expensive. After a couple of hours though, I had purchased a pair of shoes for cheerleading practice, a pair of black flats and a pair of tan pumps with 2-inch heels. All of the shoes I bought were on sale and I only spent $80 for all 3 pairs. Next we headed to Victoria's Secret. One of the sales girls, Mindy, came up to us and asked, is there anything I can help you girls with? She then looked at me and asked, do I know you? I honestly told her that I didn't know her. Well, maybe you just have one of those faces. Janice said, my sister Erin has just gone through a growth spurt and needs to be remeasured for some new bras and panties. Mindy took a tape and quickly measured me and told me I needed a 34B bra and a size medium in panties. Are you thinking of anything in particular? Before Janice or Megan could come to my defense, I said, I would like matching sets of a bra and bikini panties and a bra and a maybe thong. What would you recommend? I'll be right back. Janice and Megan just stood there in amazement. I was so into being Erin that everything I did or said was something that would be expected out of a 17-year-old girl. I didn't even have to think what to say, it came so naturally for me. Mindy returned carrying several sets of bras and panties. She said that I could try on the bras but not the panties. I took them to the dressing room. The first one I tried on was an ivory classic full coverage bra. It fit like a glove. I had Janice and Megan come in to get their opinions. They both liked it, saying that it did a great job hiding the fact that I was wearing silicone breasts. I put my top back on and went out to look in the mirror. My breasts looked rounder and fuller than with my old bra. Mindy came in and asked me how I liked it. I told her that I loved the bra. She smiled, then you could see a light bulb go off in her head. Now I know where I have seen you. Aren't you the guy who lost the football bet and has to spend the week as a girl and a cheerleader? I was busted. I told her about the collection that the school had taken up so I could buy some clothes and such to wear. Erin, don't worry. Honestly, I wouldn't have guessed in 100 years that you were a boy if I hadn't seen this morning's paper. You do look fabulous. Thank you very much, Mindy. I hope you understand that this is just for the week and afterwards I go back to being Jamie. Mindy laughed. We'll see if that happens. This was the second time I had heard this today. Do people know something I don't? All I knew was that I was having the time of my life, a dream come true. I picked out 3 bras with matching bikini panties and her thongs. Victoria's Secret was having a big sale. Everything I had bought was 25% off, and for every bra and panty set I bought, I could purchase another item for 50% off. We started going through the store and the first thing that caught my eye was a white bra top no show-through camisole. I asked Megan and Janice for their opinions and they both thought it would look cute on me. We must have spent another hour in there, looking at different items and trying things on. We were over looking at the pants when Mindy came back over. She told me I should look at some particular pants. They were called hipsters and they had spandex in them that in my situation, they would help hide things I didn't want to show. It took me a second to register what she had said. I hadn't thought about Jamie all morning. She continued that it would also help to enhance my derriere and suggested that I try on a pair of light denim pants. I asked her about white pants and she said they were for summer and not the fall. As I was taking them into the dressing room, Mindy suggested that I try them on wearing one of my new thongs. She handed one of my bra and thong sets. While I was changing, I could hear Megan, Janice, and Mindy talking, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. The pants fit me like a dream, and just by doing a little tucking I had no bulge. Also, having the thong on made me feel so sexy. The only problem with the jeans was that they drug on the floor. Mindy said no problem and took me to the shoe section. She measured my feet, went in back and returned with a pair of black T-strap sandals with 4¼ inches heels. She put them on my feet and told me to walk around. I stood up and like the first time I put on heels yesterday, I had no problem walking in them. I looked in the mirror and the pant legs were now a couple of inches off the carpet. This gave me the illusion of being taller and having long legs. Megan came over saying, "You are always surprising me. As soon as I think you could get any sexier, you do. Looking like that, most guys would immediately fall in lust with you, and so would many women." That was all I needed to hear. I bought everything and wore my new pants and shoes out of the store. The bill came to almost $100. Janice commented that I only had $20 left to finish my shopping. I gave her a sheepish grin saying I brought some of my own money and I would like to find at least another pair of pants. Both Janice and Megan laughed, saying that they thought they now have a new shopper to go with them. We went to the food court to get some lunch. As we were sitting and eating, Janice asked me how I felt about all of this. To be honest, I love every minute of this. It's hard to explain, but I am actually feeling much more comfortable like this than I ever was as Jamie. While I didn't intentionally throw the bet, I am so glad I lost. These last 2 days has me thinking if I want to do more of this. Janice said, "We have been watching you, and even Mindy made the comment that you act so much like a girl. The way you act is like most any girl your age would act. If I didn't know you were my brother, I would think you were a normal 17-year-old girl. I think I am going to miss not having Aaron around." "I'll second that," commented Megan. We talked through lunch and they both told me that whenever I wanted to be Aaron, they would fully support and help me. Janice loved having a baby sister and Megan liked having a special girlfriend. I knew I had some serious thinking to do this week. After lunch we went to a couple of other stores and then to Penny's. I found 2 pairs of jeans, a cute pair of deep blue boot-cut jeans and a pair of navy classic jeans. Of course, these jeans screamed that I needed some boots to go with them. We went over to the shoe department looking at several pairs of boots before deciding on a pair of black leather boots with 3-inch heels. As we were leaving, Megan got a devilish look on her face and dragged me over to the lingerie department. She said, "With all of those jeans, you need some curves and need to hide your little friend Dot." With that, she took me over to the foundation section and started looking at the shapers. Finally she said, "This is what I was looking for." She handed me what looked like a panty girdle but had the sides and butt padded. I tried it on with one of my new jeans and loved my new look. My padded hips and butt helped give me the illusion of having a slimmer waist. I ended up buying a pair of the briefs. Janice and Megan both laughed, saying, "We need to get this girl out of here before she buys out the store, and we still haven't got her any makeup yet." I had spent all of the money that Megan and Mom had given me. Luckily, I had brought my own money so I could pay for the items I picked out. We headed over to Macy's and the MAC Cosmetics counter. I went up to the girl, Liz, which was working there, and told her that I just got paid and that I wanted to try some good cosmetics. Both Janice and Megan stood in amazement at my forwardness. Liz had me sit down and removed my makeup. She then applied an oil control lotion moisturizer to face, then applied a primer, which she explained is a pre-makeup conditioner for your skin and is worn under your foundation to provide hydration and even out your skin tones. She then checked a couple of different foundations before settling on the mineralized satin finish SPF 15 foundation in natural medium shade. She explained that this is a fluid foundation that blends the natural light-reflecting properties of microminerals with a smooth satin finish. This will help make your skin appear radiant, healthy, and provide an everyday broad-spectrum SPF 15 sun protection. You will need some powder. I recommend our Mineralized Skin Finish Natural Powder. It works well with the foundation I put on you and will give you a natural matte finish. Use it to set and fix foundation or for a touch-up throughout the day. Liz was on a roll and I was enjoying all of the attention. Janice and Megan just smiled as they watched. Liz said, "What I want to achieve is a natural yet glamorous look. What I am going to do is to fill in your brows with our Brenna shadow and then apply the Shroom eyeshadow all over your eyelids and brow bones. We will create more definition in your eyelids crease with our multi shadow and then shape your eyes by lining the whole eye with a thin line of black eyeliner and fanning slightly upwards at the outer corner of each eye. I will finish off your eyes with 2 coats of Kohl Black Pro Lash Mascara." That sounds great, was all I could think of. A week ago I could have never dreamt that this would be happening. Now that it was, I was having the time of my life. Liz proceeded to my eyes, after which applied a light dusting of mocha powder blush all over my cheeks. She then said, "I want to glam your look up a bit by layering different lip colors." She lined and filled in my lips with a creme stick liner, applied lipstick and completed the look with a tinted lip gloss. She finally let me look in the mirror and I was stunned. With all of the makeup she put on me, it didn't look like I was wearing any. But my skin looked more finished and polished and my eyes popped out and were definitely my best feature. At this point, Megan, Janice, and I all knew that Liz could probably sell me anything she wanted to. She added up all of the products she used, and of course the brushes I would need, and it came to almost $250. But she said that she'd give me a 20% discount and give me 2 cases for my makeup, one for my purse and one for home. I hadn't realized how expensive makeup was, much less the good stuff. I looked to Megan and Janice for guidance. They both smiled and told me to go for it. I took my money out of my purse and paid for everything. As we were walking out, Janice kidded me by saying, "Well, if it turns out you won't be using your makeup, I'll take it off your hands." We all laughed and decided it was time to get home before I got myself into any more trouble. When we got home, I couldn't wait to show Mom all I had bought. She was a little more than surprised when she saw everything. She asked why I had bought so many things for what was only going to be a week's adventure. I told her that I just got carried away, with encouragement from Janice and Megan, and that I was enjoying being Erin so much that I forgot that I am actually Jamie. Do we need to talk about this? Even though you are a jock football player, I can't say that I am totally surprised. I know about your and Janice's little games, and more than once I have noticed that my clothes and my other things were out of place. I just want you to know that you are my child and I love you very much. Anything you decide, I will support you, and I think Janice and Megan will too. I was so overwhelmed by what Mom had said that I started to cry. Mom, Janice, and Megan all gave me a big hug. I felt like I was the luckiest person in the world. We sat and talked for almost an hour. I confessed to them that I had the overwhelming urge to dress when I was alone. How it started watching Mom do Janice's hair, then Janice forcing me to sit down while she put rollers in my hair, and finally me trying on Mom and Janice's clothes. So when I was alone, I would get dressed up and even tried my hand at makeup. So when the bet came about, I was really torn. On one hand, my ego wanted me to win the bet so bad and see Sam in a dress. On the other hand, I wanted to lose the bet so I was the one getting to wear a dress, and believe it or not, I didn't throw the block just so I could lose the bet. With that, we all laughed. I told them that this was completely different for me. I didn't know if it was the thrill I got from doing something that was forbidden or the possibility of getting caught, but I always got sexually aroused. But this is different. Because of the bet, me dressing like this was accepted or at least tolerated. So I have been able to relax, and it has begun to feel so natural to me. It hasn't even been quite 2 days, and when we were shopping, I completely forgot about Jamie and I was Erin. Being Erin seemed so natural and I felt so comfortable. I am not sure how I was going to feel by the end of the week. Again, Mom said that while she loved having me as her son, she would equally love me as her daughter. These sentiments were also echoed by Megan and Janice. I started to cry again, as did Mom, Janice, and Megan. We had just got our composure back when the telephone rang. Janice answered it and told me it was for me. "Is this Jamie McCoy?" "Yes, it is," having to think for a second. "Hi Jamie, my name is Beth O'Connell. I am one of the producers for the Today Show. I just read the story of your bet and thought it might make an interesting human interest piece for tomorrow morning's show, if you were interested." "You are in New York, aren't you? How did you get a copy of the paper?" "Yes, we are out of New York, and the Associated Press picked up the story and ran it all across the country. If you were interested, it would be a 5-minute interview with Matt and Katie." "How far is it to your closest NBC station?" "About an hour, I guess." "Do you think you might be interested?" "I might be." Mom, Janice, and Megan were listening to my side of the conversation and wanted to know what was going on. I said they want me to come on the Today Show tomorrow. They all squealed with delight. "Good, what we would like is to have you, your family, and your friend Sam. We would send a limo for you, take you to the station, do the interview via satellite, take you home, and we will pay each of you a small stipend of $200. The interview will be at 6 o'clock your time. So the limo will pick up at 4 o'clock. That will give you plenty of time to get to the station, get your hair and makeup done, for us to get some background, and for you to relax a bit before the interview start." "So Jamie, are you interested?" I couldn't say yes fast enough. I did tell her that I would have to talk it over with Mom and Janice and give Sam a call, and would it be all right to bring my girlfriend Megan along too? Beth said that yes, Megan could come along, and she gave me her phone number and told me I had to make a decision within the hour. I told her that I would call her right back. As soon as I hung up, they wanted to know all of the details. They all thought it would be fun. I called Sam and he wasn't home. I tried Sandy's and found him there. I told him what was happening and he said he would love to go on the show too. I called Beth back and told her we would love to go to the interview. She got some background on me, my family, Sam, and the bet, of course. Since I was under 18, she asked to speak with Mom. They spoke for a few minutes and Mom hung up, saying that she had to sign the contract for me and that Beth wanted her to get 2 power of attorneys so she could get signed one for both Sam and Megan. We talked for another hour. We decided that if I wanted to continue being Erin after this week, Mom would do anything it took to help me, and Janice and Megan would fully support me. I felt so lucky. I had done some research on this on the internet and was surprised at the number of other people out there like me. Also, I was surprised by the number of these people which said that their friends and family completely shunned them. At this point, I was thinking, Jamie who? I could feel Erin to start to completely take over my persona. All I knew was that I was very happy. It was getting late in the afternoon and I had to get to work at Sarah's. Megan offered to come along and help me. Since I had just done a quickie cleanup Friday night, the salon, by my standards, it was a total mess. I knew I would be there for at least 4 hours. Megan said that she would do anything I wanted her to help speed things up. She asked where I usually started. I confessed that I usually started by washing my hair and putting rollers in it. Megan smiled. "Come over to my sink, young lady." I got a cape, towel, rollers and setting lotion and went to the sink. Megan proceeded to wash and condition my hair for me. We went to one of the chairs and she quickly wrapped my hair in rollers like Sarah had done yesterday. Now it is my turn. With that I washed, conditioned and wrapped her hair too. Even with the time we took to do each other's hair, we were finished cleaning in a little over 2 hours. We combed out each other's hair and decided to stop and pick up a pizza for dinner. I called Mom to see if she and Janice wanted to eat with us. They said yes and that she had called Sam to see if he wanted to spend the night since we had to leave so early in the morning. He had said yes and Sandy was going to spend the evening with us too. She had also called Megan's mom, Diana, to see if Megan could spend the night too. Diana said yes and was going to bring a change of clothes for Megan. So we decided that we needed 2 of the extra large pizzas. I called ahead, locked up and we took off to get the pizza. When we got there, they were very busy. I went to the counter and the guy working there apologized, saying that it would be another 10 minutes or so before our pizza was ready. He offered us a couple of Pepsis to drink while we waited. While we waited, several kids from school came up to us. Their reaction was one of astonishment and their responses were something like, "Is that you, Jamie? Boy, you went all out losing this bet. If I hadn't known it was you, I would have thought that you were one hot chick I wanted to get to know. You look fabulous," and so on. Every time I heard something like that, I started to blush. Megan went on to tease me all evening about how she was jealous that I was attracting more guys than she was. While being with another guy was the furthest thing from my mind, I had to admit that the attention was very flattering. I knew that tomorrow at school was going to be very interesting. Finally, the pizzas were ready, I paid for them and we headed home. As we entered the house, the reaction was pretty much the same I had received for the last 2 days. Comments about how good I looked, that maybe I was going completely overboard. Even Sam, who I have been best friends with since the 1st grade, had to get his little comments in. Even though I knew it was all in good nature fun, in some ways it kind of bothered me. I knew they were right and this was more than this just for the bet. I was completely out of control while we were shopping today. I knew that the last 2 days, in some ways, had been overwhelming for me. While I was completely enjoying myself, I couldn't help to realize that this might not last forever. The thought started to depress me. Then I started thinking, why couldn't this be forever? In the last 2 days I had grown closer to Mom and Janice than I ever had been as Jamie. And I could feel my relationship with Megan gravitating towards that of girlfriends. After we finished eating, Sam took Sandy home and Diana said that she wanted to talk with us. She said, "I have been observing you, Jamie, for the last hour while we ate." I had known that she was some sort of doctor, but what I didn't realize was that she had just finished up her certification in psychiatry and had worked on gender disorders as her concentration. "Jamie, I have been watching you over the last year and tonight, and with what Megan has told me about you, I would like to make a couple of comments. You are acting and reacting like I would expect of most any girl your age. It is clear, to me, that you have almost completely adopted and accepted the feminine role. I must say that when I first saw you I was somewhat shocked. Most guys would have just done what they had to pay off the bet. But I can tell that you have completely embraced this. I see almost none of the Jamie that I have grown to know and love. Have you adopted a feminine name yet?" "Yes, it is Erin." "What a pretty name for a very pretty girl. Have you given any thought what you want to do after Saturday night?" I guess I'll have to go back to being Jamie. Somehow I don't think so. I think that after this week is over, you are going to find it will become harder and harder to be content just being Jamie. I can see it already. The way you are dressing, wearing your hair, gesturing with your hands and your body language all exude the feelings that you are a girl. No, I suspect that once Sunday morning comes around, you are going to go into a depression. We all sat there a little stunned. Thinking back, everything she said had certainly been in the back of my mind and probably in the back of everyone else's mind too. I have worked with transgender people before, and if there is anything I can do to help, please let me know. Call me anytime if you want to talk. It was like the dam just burst. We were all talking, almost at once, asking Diana questions about what I was going through. Her suggestion was to do some serious soul-searching this week and after the bet is over see how I felt. If I was still feeling this way, then she could start counseling sessions and we could progress from there. With that, Diana said that she had to be going. Just as she was leaving, Sam returned. She talked with him for a moment then left. I asked him what she had said. He pulled me outside and said that, she said that at this time, I needed all of the support that my friends and family could give me. Tell me that this is just about the bet? We have been friends since we were 6 and you know I would do anything for you. But, to be honest, seeing you like this has me concerned. Watching and talking to you, I don't see any of my old friend, Jamie. You are like some person that I don't know. I need to know if when this week is over will I get my friend Jamie back or will I have to make friends with this new persona? To be honest with you, Sam, I don't know. I never told you, but I had these feelings as far back as I can remember. I had thought they pretty much had gone away. But these last 2 days have brought them back to the surface. From the time Janice and Megan had me put on the first bra and panties that I knew that it would change me. While we were shopping today, I completely forgot about Jamie. I was Erin and really enjoyed it. What is going to happen I don't know. But I don't think we have seen the last of Erin. Sam, you are my best friend. Will this affect our friendship? Of course not, please, just don't expect me to kiss you. We both laughed and went back in to join Mom, Janice and Megan. We talked for a little bit and decided that we all needed to get ready for bed. Sam and I had slept over at each other's house many times over the last 11 years. At first I had bunk beds and I would sleep in the lower one and he would sleep in the upper one. As we grew older, we didn't sleep over as often, so Mom got rid of the bunk beds. She bought me a double bed and when Sam did stay over, he would sleep in the spare bedroom. So tonight Sam was going to sleep in the spare bedroom and Megan was going to sleep in Janice's room. I was glad that he was sleeping in the other room because I think I would have felt uncomfortable. It was a very strange feeling. Sam and I had slept together in the same bed and seen each other naked hundreds of times in gym and after football practice. It never bothered me at all. But now it seemed all wrong. To be honest, I think I would have been more comfortable sleeping with Megan than Sam. I was just glad that I didn't have to face that issue. So I got ready for bed, said goodnight to everyone and crashed as my head hit the pillow. All night I had vivid dreams of what I thought was going to happen tomorrow and for my future. Synopsis: I had just turned 17 and was living with my mom and sister, Janice. My dad had been killed in an automobile accident when I was 10 and my uncle Todd, Dad's twin brother, tried to set a good example for us to what it was like to be a man. He gave me a summer job with his construction company so that I could buy a car and encourage me to get into sports. He did teach me many lifelong lessons. The most important being that when I do something, put out 110%, do it to the best of my ability, and if I was going to do it right the first time. This carried over into sports. Even though I was only 5 feet 7 inches and 140 pounds, I made the varsity team as a running back. What I lacked in size I made up by being wiry. My best friend Sam and I made a bet on who would score the most touchdowns for the season. The loser would have to spend a week as one of the cheerleaders, dressed as a girl of course. We were tied going into the last game of the season. In the final 2 minutes of the game, I threw a block for Sam that allowed him to score and win the bet. I had had these deep-seated feeling that I wanted to be a girl for as long as I could remember. I used to watch Mom put Janice's hair up in rollers with envy. I started wearing my hair longer and Janice would force me to sit while she put rollers in my hair. To try and hide these feelings, I overcompensated in sports and everything else I did, trying to be macho, hoping those feelings would go away. It was this overcompensation and my desire to do the job to the best of my ability that allowed me to make the teams and excel in sports. When I lost the bet, I had the opportunity to drop my facade, finally realize what it might be like to be a girl. Janice and my girlfriend Megan had the task of feminizing me. They borrowed my new clothes from other girls and their closets. We spent the first day trying them on. That afternoon, I went to Sarah's salon, where I get my hair cut and work part-time cleaning up after school, and received a complete makeover. I adopted the name Erin. The more time I spent as Erin, the more her persona started to take over. By the time we finished our shopping trip on Sunday, Jamie was so pushed far in back of my mind that I wasn't sure if I would ever get him back. The story of the bet made the front page of our newspaper, which was picked up by the Associated Press and read by a producer for the Today Show. She wanted us to do a 5-minute segment with Mom, Janice, Megan, Sam and me on Monday morning. We made the arrangements, and since we had to leave early, Megan and Sam decided to spend the night at our house. I was glad that Sam was sleeping in the other room because I think I would have felt uncomfortable. It was a very strange feeling. Sam and I had slept together in the same bedroom and seen each other naked hundreds of times in gym and after football practice. It never bothered me at all. But now it seemed all wrong. To be honest, I think I would have been more comfortable sleeping with Megan than Sam. I was just glad that I didn't have to face that issue. So I got ready for bed, taking a shower, making sure I cleaned my newly pierced ears and rolling my hair back in rollers to make it easier tomorrow morning. I said goodnight to everyone and crashed as my head hit the pillow. All night I had vivid dreams of what I thought was going to happen tomorrow and for my future. Again, I had the dream that Megan and I were getting married. We both had wedding dresses on and I was pregnant. I am going to have to ask Megan's mom about that. Before I knew it, the alarm went off at 3 a.m. sharp. Instinctively, I shut off the alarm, rolled over and went back to my dreams. But, before I could start dreaming again, Megan was shaking me awake, saying that it was my turn in the bathroom. As I was walking to the bathroom, I passed Sam. He looked at me in my silk pajamas, fake boobs and my hair in rollers. He said good morning, but his face said, "Dude, this isn't right." I knew that I just had to give him time to get used to me like this. I went to the bathroom, washed my face, cleaned my pierced ears and went back to my room. Megan and Janice were there to help me get dressed, put on my makeup and comb out my hair. My first thought was to just wear a pair of my new jeans because it was safe and would help to keep me warm. Janice asked me in all sincerity, "Do you want to play it safe or make a statement about who you really are?" I thought about it for a moment. So far everything I have done, from highlighting my hair to buying all of those clothes and makeup, was far from playing it safe. I guess it's a little late now to play it safe. What do you have in mind? With that, she went to her closet and came back with a brown and black plaid skirt, which looked like it would go halfway between my knees and ankle, a wide black belt and a light brown long-sleeve, low-cut, silk blouse. She said that my new boots would go well with this. I said thanks. I put on a pair of my new bikini panties and matching bra, pantyhose, blouse, skirt and boots. I sat down as Megan unrolled my hair and Janice helped me with my makeup. I couldn't wait to stand up and look at myself in the full-length mirror. It's funny, but before I was introduced to Aaron, I would hardly look in a mirror, much less check myself out from every conceivable angle. Now I could feel myself becoming vainer and vainer. I really did love the way I looked. I kept thinking, Jamie who? We went out to the kitchen and Mom and Sam were sitting at the table chatting. Mom said that we probably just had enough time to eat some yogurt and a piece of toast. She was right because just as we finished, the limo drove up right on schedule. This was the first time I ever rode in a limo and it was fun. On the way to the TV station, we talked about what we were going to say. We all thought it would be best if we didn't mention the fact that I was considering that Aaron would be a part, if not a big part, of our lives after the bet. We arrived in plenty of time. The local producer went over some more of the details so she could send it back to New York. Mom signed all of the contracts and we were then taken to hair and makeup. Sally, the hair and makeup artist, just did a few touch-up things to Mom, Janice, Megan and my makeup and hair. Sam was a different story. First of all, he was squirming. He didn't want to have any makeup put on him, saying that that was just for girls. Sally explained that everyone on TV or in the movies wore makeup. If they didn't, the lights would just glare off their faces. This seemed to make him feel better, even though he still didn't like it. They led us to where we would broadcast from. They gave us directions as to what we were supposed to do. We would come on right after the top of the hour break and the interview would probably last 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how it was going. They gave us a list of questions that would be fed to Matt and Katie. We looked them over and decided how we would answer them. 3, 2, 1, we are live. With us this morning we have Jamie McGee, his mom Maggie, his sister Janice, his girlfriend Megan and his best friend Sam. What makes them so special was a bet that Jamie and Sam made. They are on the same high school football team and made a bet as to who could score the most touchdowns. What makes this bet unusual is what was at stake. The loser would have to spend the next week on the cheerleader squad and dressed as a girl all week. With that, they brought the camera in on us. We could see Matt and Katie and the puzzled look on their faces. Matt quickly broke the silence by saying, "To be quite honest with you, I am stunned. I expected, since you were both star running backs at your high school, that I would see someone like Sam here in drag. I am not sure which of you is really Jamie." With that, Katie broke in saying, "I agree that all of you look stunning. So which of you is really Jamie?" We all looked at each other and you could see that the same thing was going through our minds. Let's see if we can make them guess. But in the end, I raised my hand. The rest of the interview went as we expected. It was about the bet, why I went to such lengths to look like a girl, what is in the future, etc. The interview actually went the full 10 minutes. And we are off the air. Well, there was going to be no hiding Aaron from the world anymore. The limo took us home just in time to gather our things and get to school. When we got to school, it seemed like almost half of the students there had seen the interview. For those who hadn't, Mrs. Gamble, the principal, played it for the school over the school's video feed. Walking to class, I got several high fives, stares of disbelief, congratulations and such. A friend of mine actually slapped me on my fanny. I had expected that the girls would accept me like this. But I didn't expect the overall acceptance from most of the boys. There were some though that you could see the disgust in their eyes, that I was taking this so seriously. When I went into first period English, the silence was deafening. Everyone just looked at me. Then John Wilson, the team's quarterback, stood up and started clapping. Shortly the whole class was standing and clapping. This was so embarrassing I couldn't believe it. The rest of the morning went pretty much the same way. Megan, Sam, Sandy, and I had lunch together. After we had finished eating, I told Megan that I had to go to the office to use their bathroom. To which both she and Sandy said, "No you don't, girl. You come with us." They lead me off to the girls' bathroom. There were several girls in there. I started to look nervous, but they just looked at me and smiled. Megan opened a stall door and told me to make sure I sat down and tinkled. While sitting there, I couldn't help but listen to the conversations that the other girls were having. Most of it had to do with their hair, makeup, or boyfriends. But I did hear a couple of girls talk about me and that I made a cute girl, and they were wondering if this was going to be over at the end of the week. When I finished, Megan and Sandy watched me touch up my makeup. I heard the comment that I was a natural. To which I said thanks. The rest of the day went pretty much the same. By the end of the day, the other kids hardly gave me a second look. We got out at 2:45 and cheerleader practice began promptly at 3 o'clock. Megan and I got excused from the first part of practice so I could get fitted for my cheerleader's uniform for Saturday night's basketball game. The uniform was a Kelly green and gold, sleeveless, double-knit polyester crop top cheer shell, a matching box-pleated cheer skirt and panty set, and socks. The woman at the uniform shop measured me, gave me a couple of things to try on. I looked at myself in the mirror and immediately thought I was glad I hadn't tried to develop six-pack abs. Megan looked at me with a devilishly look and she said, "There is something missing." I asked what and she just said, "Later." The sales lady said that my uniform would be ready Thursday afternoon. I also bought a tank top and shorts to wear for the practice. We returned to school and went to change. Megan went into the girls' locker room and I went to Ms. Kendrick's, the girls' coach, bathroom to change. I went in and changed into a sports bra, the shorts and tank top and the new shoes I bought for this. In the past, I had always kidded Megan that being a cheerleader looked easy. All you had to do was to swing around your pom-poms, look sexy, and yell out a cheer. What I didn't realize was how hard they had to work out to get everything down like clockwork. I was in good shape and I thought I had pretty good coordination. When I was trying to follow what they were doing, it seemed like I couldn't even walk and chew gum at the same time. Towards the end though, I was starting to catch on. Ms. Kendrick told all of us that since they were starting basketball season, everyone, including me, had to learn how to do the splits. First she had us do some stretching exercises. Then we went to the wall with the rail, and she showed us how to slowly lower ourselves to the ground doing the splits. As I tried to go down, I could feel the muscles in my legs start to revolt. I got about halfway down and couldn't go any farther. A couple of the other girls were having the same problem. Ms. Kendrick just told us to start over and each time to push ourselves a little harder. By the time practice was over, I could almost get 3/4 of the way down. She told us to practice at home and that we would be doing it all week. During the practice, the girls treated me like one of their own. They even kidded me that I should just go ahead and use the girls' locker room, and I think they meant it. Instead, I used Ms. Kendrick's bathroom, which was in her office. She was in her office when I finished getting dressed. She said that I did a very good job today and that she thinks I'll probably do well by Saturday. I met Megan and the other girls coming out of their locker room. Sandy came up to me and said how cute I was going to look in my cheerleader's uniform. But she agreed with Megan that I was missing something. With that, all of the girls exposed their navels. I immediately knew that I was in trouble. I looked and they had all of their belly buttons pierced with the school's mascot hanging over their navels. Julie, the head cheerleader, said, "If you are going to be a cheerleader with us, then I think you need to get your belly button pierced too." All of the other girls agreed. What could I do? I had to fit in with the other girls. With that, we all went to the piercing palace in the mall. I told the woman there what I wanted. She said no problem. She brought me to the piercing room. I sat back in the chair and started to squirm around a little. I just knew that this was going to hurt. She told me that she was going to numb my belly button. The other girls stayed to watch since they had already been through it. They would give me moral support. My stomach was slathered with antiseptic. It just tickled a little. This might not be as bad as I thought. Then I saw her with the forceps and needle. I immediately tensed up and I got more than a little nervous. She grabbed the top of my belly button. I started to stress when I saw the size of the needle. Then I really stressed as the needle went into my skin, but the moment passed quickly. It really wasn't that bad after all. Just a little pinch and it was over. She gave me a mirror and there, hanging perfectly over my navel, was the school's mascot. Now I looked just like the other girls. She gave me an aftercare kit which consisted of piercing antiseptic, sea salt and a care sheet. She told me how to take care of my new piercing. A thorough antibacterial soap cleansing is needed every day in the shower or bath, along with a thorough rinse. She told me to touch the belly button stud as little as possible for the first few days, which would help reduce the possibility of infection. She said that I was to keep the area clean and disinfected. I was to clean the piercing with an antiseptic 3 to 4 times a day, always removing any crusty scabby buildup. I was to lie down and use a solution of a half teaspoon of sea salt in warm water and soak the piercing for 10 minutes once each day. For the next 2 or 3 days I was to wear loose clothes. Before this I hadn't really given any thought of getting my navel, or anything else, pierced. But now that I had done it I started feeling a high. I think I understood how people could get hooked on piercings. Even though I had just gotten my ears pierced a couple of days ago, this was different. I had known several guys that had one of both of their ears pierced. The only people that I knew with their belly buttons pierced were girls. Janice had hers done last year. To me, this was just another example of Erin taking over my persona, and I loved it. The other girls wanted Megan and me to join them getting something to eat at the mall. But we had already made plans to go to her house for dinner and to study. We both had an English exam on Tuesday and we were going to study after dinner. Besides, between getting up at 3 o'clock and the cheerleader practice, I was wiped out. I was just glad that this was my day off at Sarah's. When I told them I was tired, they all laughed, saying practice wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. When we got to Megan's house, her family was just getting ready to eat. Her dad, James, was a lawyer and her older sister, Amy, was in her 4th year of college majoring in psychology. They had all seen us on the Today Show. Amy thought I looked fantastic and was curious what I was feeling. James was a little more reserved. I could tell that he wasn't all that sure about what I was doing. I laughed to myself when, as he started to say something, all of a sudden he flinched like Diana might have kicked him. Dinner went well. Amy had lots of questions for me. She figured out right away how I was feeling. She asked me if she could use me as a case study for her senior project. She said that she could keep me anonymous if I wanted. I said yes. James actually started to open up. After having 2 daughters, he used to love it when I came over so he could have another guy to talk with. But now things were different. However, by the time dinner was over, he was chatting with me like we had in the past. To him, I wasn't one of Megan's girlfriends yet. Since Megan and I were the youngest, we were given the job of cleaning up. When we finished, we went to Megan's room to study. Before we started, she said that she wanted to talk. As I say this, remember that I do love you. I love you too. At first this was a fun game. Dress my boyfriend as a girl, get him to get his hair done, go shopping, wearing makeup and so on. I didn't have a clue that you would actually like doing this. To be honest, if the roles were reversed, I don't think I could accept the male role as well as you have accepted the female role. Anyway, it is clear that this has become more than a game for you. When I look at you now, I don't see very many signs of Jamie anymore. While I love having my new girlfriend Erin around, I miss my boyfriend Jamie too. I may never get Jamie back, and in some ways it really saddens me. On the other hand, I am developing a new relationship and friendship with Erin. I think that in the last 3 days, you have actually become a better person. You aren't nearly as quiet and reserved as you were as Jamie. After practice today, I think you got a deeper respect for what we cheerleaders have to go through. I guess what I am trying to say is that regardless what happens, you can count on me to help and support you. The worst thing that can happen is that I lose you as my boyfriend and gain you as my best girlfriend. She then gave me a big kiss saying, I just might have to become a lesbian. We both laughed and I was relieved to have the tension lighten up. Megan, I love you very much. But, I don't know where this is going. I had Erin locked up inside me for as long as I can remember. Now she is slowly taking over my persona. I felt the first twinges of it when I let Sarah highlight my hair. All during the football season, I was constantly being torn on the inside. Part of me, Jamie, wanted to be the best and win the bet. But this other part of me, Erin, was trying to take over and get me to throw the bet. She was patient and methodical. Every time I scored a touchdown, Jamie would take control. But Erin was sly. She would lie in wait until I was at work and get me to experiment with my hair. She had me try rolling my hair on curlers and perm rods. Sometimes I would put a highlight cap on, pull out small sections of hair and put a darker rinse on to give me lowlights. Megan looked at me like she was just getting to know me. As the season progressed, Jamie was all cocky thinking he had all of the control. But, slowly and surely Erin was gaining strength. When last Saturday night came around, Jamie was strutting around like he was the king of the world. Erin just sat there like a lioness in wait. Then, without even thinking about the consequences, Jamie threw the block that opened the hole for Sam to score and win the bet. Jamie was all happy that his block allowed us to win the game and the championship. He was all full of himself and knew he had won control of me. This is when Erin pounced, so to speak, letting Jamie know that I had lost the bet, so now I was hers. To Jamie's credit, he didn't give up right away. But, from the time I tried on the first dress, Erin started getting stronger and stronger. Every time I would do something feminine, I could feel Erin taking more control and Jamie starting to fade away. This afternoon when I got my navel pierced, it was almost like the last nail in Jamie's coffin. Erin has buried him so deep inside me, I am not sure I can get him back, and I am not sure I want to either. Megan was speechless. She just pulled me in and gave me a big hug. We started to kiss. She pulled back and said, all of a sudden this feels too weird. I was joking when I said that I might have to become a lesbian. But, I am looking at you in a whole new light. Kissing you just now seemed like I was kissing my best friend Erin and not my boyfriend Jamie. I think Erin has started to influence me too. Anyway, I am not sure how I feel about this. Like I said earlier, even if I lose Jamie, Erin will always be my friend. With that, she gave me another hug. We both knew that we had some soul searching to do. It made me very happy to know that she would support me with whatever decision I made. We tried to study for our English exam, but we both had too many other things on our minds. So after an hour, I went home saying goodbye to Megan's parents and sister. On the way home, I thought about our conversation. The more I thought of it, the more I started to get choked up. The more I got choked up, the more I wanted to cry, which is something I almost never do. I knew I was becoming overwhelmed with all of this. Then the tears started coming. I wasn't sure if they were tears of sorrow or tears of happiness, which I was hoping they were. When I got home, my mascara was running down my cheeks. Mom asked me what I was crying about. I told her the whole story and how this was all overwhelming me. She gave me a big hug and again stated that whatever I wanted to do, she would still love and support me. She also suggested that I take up Diana's offer and talk with her. I agreed. We talked for over an hour. I showed Mom my new piercing. She asked why I had done it. I told her about the crop top cheerleader outfit and that all of the other cheerleaders already had theirs pierced, and that they wanted me to fit in with them. She asked me how I felt about doing that. I told her how it really made me feel giddy and feminine at the same time. She said that she understood and said, "I want to show you something. I am doing this because I really do think you are more Erin now than Jamie. Erin would be able to appreciate what I am going to show you." I was confused, but she took off her blouse and bra. I could clearly see that she had had her nipples pierced. She had a small gold hoop hanging from each of her nipples. This really floored me. I had no idea that she had done this. She told me that my dad had wanted her to do this for him. So when they went to Hawaii on vacation, she had them pierced, telling no one. She said that at first, she was unsure whether she liked them or not. Shortly after their vacation was when Dad was killed. She said she kept them in his honor. She said that now she couldn't think of living without them. I had always thought Mom and I were close. But it seemed like, in the last couple of days, and especially tonight, we were even closer. We were sharing common bonds that Jamie could never do. I had to admit that I loved this. After we got all talked out, I went to my room to get ready for bed. I removed my makeup, put my hair back into a ponytail, undressed, cleaned my ears and my new piercing, let it soak in the sea salt and put on my satin pajamas. They were too tight on my new piercing. I started thinking that I need to wear a nightgown or baby doll set. I went out and asked Mom if she has something I could wear. She went to her room and got a knee-length satin nightgown for me to sleep in. Just as I was getting into bed, the phone rang. It was Megan, who just wanted to make sure I was all right and to wish me a good night. We talked for a few minutes and then I couldn't keep my eyes open any longer, so we said good night. The next thing I remember was the alarm going off. It was time to get up. After Mom and I got all talked out, I went to my room to get ready for bed. I removed my makeup, put my hair back into a ponytail, undressed, cleaned my ears and my new piercing, let it soak in the sea salt and put on my satin pajamas. They were too tight on my new piercing. I started thinking that I need to wear a nightgown or baby doll set. I went out and asked Mom if she has something I could wear. She went to her room and got a knee-length satin nightgown for me to sleep in. Just as I was getting into bed, the phone rang. It was Megan, who just wanted to make sure I was all right and to wish me a good night. We talked for a few minutes and then I couldn't keep my eyes open any longer, so we said good night. Lying in bed in a nightgown was a different experience for me. Like my new pajamas, I loved the way it felt next to my skin. The big difference I noticed was when I moved, the lower part of the nightgown sort of stayed in place and I was rolling around in it. This was a very nice feeling that I could easily get used to. I don't know if it was because I was tired, or because of the nightgown I was wearing, but I slept better than I had in a very long time. My dream did come back though. This time it was different. I was still wearing the wedding dress and pregnant, but this time, Megan was my maid of honor and Sam was the groom. While I remember being a bit startled to see Sam there, I wasn't unhappy at all. It seemed so natural that Sam and I were getting married. After all, we had been best friends since the first grade. We had somewhat of a symbiotic relationship. He was always big for his age and I was always small for mine. He always stood up for me when I got teased or bullied. More than once he saved me from getting beat up. I was the brainy one. I was always helping him with his homework and studying for exams. He told me more than once that if it wasn't for me helping him, he wouldn't have been able to stay on the football team. Our coach thought with his ability and grades, he had a very good chance at a full-ride scholarship at a university. But Erin was up to her old tricks again. Because the thought of me walking down the aisle to him was so natural that she was saying that I knew that I loved him. I could faintly hear Jamie saying something in the background, but I wasn't paying any attention to what he had to say. When the alarm went off at 6 a.m., I could vividly remember my dream. I lay in bed for a moment, loving the way my body felt in the nightgown and thinking about Sam and Megan. I had no doubt in my mind that someday Megan and I might get married. But now, I was having these thoughts about Sam. Was I really interested in him, or was it that I have been on such a feminine overload this week that I wasn't sure what I did or did not really feel? This is definitely something to think about. 6 o'clock is earlier than I usually get up, but I had to wash my hair this morning. I got out of bed and wandered into the kitchen. I was thinking that I was the only one up when I saw a note from Mom. The note said that she and Janice had gone to an early morning power breakfast for a women's group that she belonged to. Luckily, she had made some coffee, so I got a cup and headed to the bathroom. As my shower was heating up, I looked into the mirror thinking that I was so glad that I hadn't really started growing a beard yet. What growth I had was very fine and only had to be shaved once a week or so. But Saturday, as part of my makeover at Sarah's, she had convinced me to let her wax my beard growth. Looking at and feeling my face now, there was absolutely no sign of a beard or any stubble. This made me very happy. I never remembered the shower feeling so sensual. The water hitting my body and my breasts made me tingle all over. I never wanted to leave. But the reality was that I was the third one to take a shower this morning and that I needed to cut my shower shorter than I wanted. But I did wash and condition my hair and washed my body, making sure that I thoroughly cleaned my new piercings. My ears and navel were a little sore but not infected at all. I found myself thinking that I couldn't wait to be able to try on new earrings and charms for my belly button. After I got out of the shower, I dried off. When I started to get ready, the reality of being alone finally hit me. All this week I had Megan, Janice, and her mom to help me pick out what I was going to wear and help me with my hair and makeup. I started to panic and was ready to call Megan when Erin calmed me down and made me believe that I could do this. Without thinking, I opened my drawer, took out a powder blue bra, matching bikini panty and camisole. I put these on and went to my closet. I started going through my clothes trying to decide on what to wear. The first thing that caught my eye was a pale yellow, floral print cotton sundress that I knew would nicely accent my legs and shoulders. The low-cut bodice would give an ample view of my cleavage. I started to laugh out loud how I would freeze to death if I wore it. I had to find something more practical. As I went through my clothes, in the back of my mind I was thinking, what would Sam like me to see me in? I finally settled on the jeans and shoes that I bought at Victoria's Secret, a simple pink cami with spaghetti straps and a dark brown long-sleeve Henley to go over the top. I quickly dressed and looked at myself in the mirror. What Erin saw both pleased her and disappointed her at the same time. From the waist up, I was all girl. The only way Erin could have been happier was if my boobs were my own. From the bottom down is where Erin was disappointed. I had no hips. I knew at least a dozen girls that would die for my figure. But, looking at myself in the mirror, I was self-conscious at having no curves below my waist. I immediately took my jeans off and tried on the panty shaper I had bought. Putting my jeans back was more difficult. While they did stretch a bit, it took me a couple of minutes just to get them buttoned and zipped up. Now looking into the mirror, I finally had the curves that Erin wanted. It just wasn't all that comfortable with these jeans. But one thing I had learned from Erin so far this week was that if I was going to look good, there is almost always a sacrifice. Erin couldn't help admiring my new curves and the way that the jeans hugged my rear end. She also loved the fact that by wearing my heels, my legs looked much longer. My hair was a mess and I didn't have time to roll it. I went into Janice's room and borrowed her flat iron. While I had never flat ironed hair before, I had watched Janice and the girls, at Sarah's, do it many times. I blow dried my hair, I sectioned it off and used the flat iron to straighten it. It took me almost 45 minutes, but my hair was pretty straight. I tied my hair back and started applying my makeup, starting with my moisturizer. Even though this was my first solo attempt, I had had plenty of good coaching. My foundation, blush, powder, eyeshadow, liner, mascara and lipstick and gloss went on effortlessly. I let my hair down and Erin was looking back at me with a look of almost complete satisfaction on her face. There was something missing. The small gold hoops I had in my ears just didn't look right. So I went to Janice's room and looked through her jewelry box, finding a pair of 14K gold dangle filigree earrings. I knew that my starter earrings should be left in continuously for about 3 weeks. But these earrings would look so cute with what I was wearing. So I took out my earrings, cleaned my holes in the earrings hoop backs with hydrogen peroxide. It was harder than I thought to put the earrings back in. My holes immediately started to close. But, with some effort and pain, I got them in. Erin's look was perfect now. There was now complete satisfaction when she looked at my total look, especially at the way the jeans hugged my rear end. It was a no-brainer now that Erin had almost completely taken over my mind, and I loved every minute of it. Driving to school, many things were going through my mind. For one, I couldn't get my dream out of my head. Sam and I had always been best friends, but I never thought of him as anything other than a friend. In fact, the thought of being with another guy had never even crossed my mind. Was I attracted to Sam? I didn't know. What I did know was that after this week I wouldn't be the same again. When I arrived at school, Megan was waiting for me. Depending on who arrived first, we would wait for the other to arrive. It would always be the same. We would hug, kiss like we hadn't seen each other for a month, and walk to class hand in hand. But today was different. We hugged and then Megan kissed me like I was one of her girlfriends. As we walked to school, not holding hands, she commented on my hair, makeup, and clothes. She thought I had done a very good job putting everything together. We talked as we walked about our upcoming English test, cheerleader practice, and many other topics. By the time we reached our English class, it was clear to me that, at least for now, we had become girlfriends. There wouldn't be any kissing her on the lips until after this was over, or maybe never again. As usual, the test was fairly easy for me, and Megan said that she felt good about it too. After class we went our separate ways, agreeing to meet for lunch. The rest of the morning went uneventful. Most everything that was said to me had either been remarks showing support for me, "You look great," "You are so brave to go through with this," etc., or good-natured kidding, a friendly swat on the butt, "I am jealous because you look better than I do," etc. There were some nasty remarks though, from a couple of guys that were always troublemakers. These remarks were much meaner than what I had heard before, and I actually felt a little fear because of what they might do. As usual, it was Megan, Sam, Sandy, and I eating lunch together. I mentioned the comments I had heard, and they all assured me that those boys were just blowing smoke and trying to get a reaction out of me. Sam added that if they did ever try anything, that he, and probably most of the football team, would make sure that they didn't do it again. During lunch I kept thinking about my dream, and either consciously or subconsciously, I couldn't keep my eyes off Sam. While I think Sam was oblivious to this, Megan and Sandy picked up on this immediately. Finally, Megan and Sandy said let's talk and lead me off to the girls' bathroom. I was surprised because any nervousness I had had about going into the girls' bathroom was gone. It seemed so natural to me now. When we went inside, there was no one else in there. Megan locked the door and said, "Sandy and I have been talking. We spent a lot of time talking about you and what we thought about what you were doing. Like I told you yesterday, you are fast becoming my friend Erin, and I am having a very hard time even thinking of you as Jamie. We both agreed that these last few days you seem much happier and content than you were before. I guess what I am trying to say is that as far as I am concerned, my boyfriend Jamie is gone. Even if you go back to living as him, I am not sure I can ever be your girlfriend again. I have come to realize that if I want a boyfriend, I want a boyfriend that is all guy." All of a sudden I wanted to start to cry. Megan was breaking up with me and there wasn't anything I could do or even want to do about it. Megan continued, "Erin, don't cry. While I am breaking up with Jamie, I still want you as my friend. Unless I am completely reading you wrong, I think you want to stay as Erin. So if there is anything we can do to help you, please let us know. I talked to my mom and she said for me to tell you to come and see her. If you are serious about pursuing becoming Erin, and I know you are, then she can help you professionally. Just know that you have a lot of people out there that love and will support you." I was overwhelmed to say the least. I knew that she liked me as Erin, but I didn't realize that she had read me so well. I think she knew me better than I did myself. I hugged both Megan and Sandy saying thank you. Now I was crying because I was happy and not because I was sad about Megan breaking up with Jamie. Then half-kiddingly, Sandy said, "I saw the way you were looking at Sam, just keep your hands off my boyfriend." We all laughed and I said that wasn't going to be a problem. We all used the toilet, checked our makeup and made our way to class. As I headed to class, I passed a couple of guys that I didn't know very well. They were nice looking and they were actually checking me out. One of them, Dan, couldn't keep his eyes off me and he almost walked into a pole. His friend John started bust up laughing saying, "Don't you know that is Jamie McGee?" Dan finally recognized me, turned beet red, and shook his head saying, "Shit, man, you don't look anything like a guy. You should carry a sign or something. Someone is going to hit on you and when they find out, you could be in a world of shit." They both started laughing and so did I. As I walked away, I couldn't help but feel torn. While it got a great sense of pleasure in the thought that I was able to have that much of an effect on a guy, and the fact was that I could actually have that much effect on a guy and enjoyed it, kind of disturbed me. The rest of the day went pretty much the same. Most of the other kids were used to me by now, and I did get more good-natured kidding. I even got asked to the dance Friday night by Frankie, who everyone knew was gay. I politely said no thank you, I was going with Megan. After school, I went to Ms. Kendrick's office and used her bathroom to change for the cheerleader practice. While I love the way my panty shaper made my hips and butt look, it felt good to take it off when I got dressed for practice. Practice today was pretty much the same as yesterday, except that Ms. Kendrick had us start by working on our splits. Again, we started by stretching our legs. We then worked on the splits for an hour. I could feel my new navel piercing pulling and it was a little sore. But I put it out of my mind and by the time we finished I could slowly get all of the way down to the floor. Ms. Kendrick said that by the end of the week that I should be able to do it with ease. The rest of the practice we rehearsed the cheers and routines. It was a little easier to keep up with the other cheerleaders today, but I still had a long way to go before Friday. At the end, Ms. Kendrick called us together to remind us of the pep rally after school on Friday. We were expected to wear our uniforms to the rally and to the school dance on Friday night. Julie came over to me and said that it was a tradition that when we had a dance, just before a ball game, that all of the cheerleaders would spend the night together at one of the girls' house. This week it was her turn and she said that all of the girls wanted me to come. I told her that I would talk to my mom and let her know. I didn't know Julie very well, but she and the rest of the girls on the squad were all very nice and kind of took me under their collective wing, so to speak. They all made me feel so comfortable that I started thinking of maybe staying on the cheerleading squad instead of wrestling like I had planned. But then I started to question myself as to whether or not they would want me after this week was over. As with everything else lately, I decided that I would wait until the end of the week and see how I felt. I went to Ms. Kendrick's office and changed my clothes. My jeans must have stretched because I didn't have as much trouble getting into them. I met Megan and we walked together out to our cars. We talked about the practice and she filled me in on the upcoming sleepover. It seems that the girls spend the evening talking about everything, watching movies and whatever the group thought they wanted to do. Megan that they snuck out one night and just drove around, found someone to buy them beer, and they didn't get back until almost 3 o'clock in the morning. Another night they gave each other makeovers. The most outlandish thing did was one night they decided to find out what it would be like to kiss and play with each other. I was dumbfounded. Megan was opening up to me like she would have never talked to Jamie. I think that for the first time I came realize that Megan really didn't think of me as her boyfriend anymore. This both pleased and bothered me at the same time. I really did love that she has accepted me as Erin and was bringing me into her circle of girlfriends. But deep inside me, Jamie was crying because he knew that he has lost Megan as a girlfriend. He kept thinking, what do I do after the end of the week? I knew that I really needed to talk with Diana. Megan, it sounds like the sleepovers are a blast. Do you really think I would fit in with the group? After all, under all of this, I am still Jamie. She stopped walking and turned to me. Erin, the girls totally accept you. In fact, there has been some talk to ask you to stay on the squad after this week. Don't worry your pretty little head, you will do fine. Besides, this is one of the best ways to learn how to be a girl. I am very confused right now. I think I just finally came to realize that you meant what you said earlier about not wanting Jamie as a boyfriend and Erin as a girlfriend. This both pleases and distresses me. I think I need to talk with your mom. Do you think she would be willing to help me? She took cell phone out of her purse and dialed a number. From her side of the conversation, I could tell that she was talking to her mom about me. She handed me the phone saying that her mom wanted to talk with me. Hi Jamie, or is it Erin? Right now I am confused as to that. That is normal, Megan said that you wanted to talk. Yes, I am totally confused right now. Would you like to come over after dinner tonight and we can talk afterwards? Thank you so much, I really do appreciate this. It's no problem, shall we say 7 o'clock? Thank you so much, I'll come over right after work. Aren't you going to go home and eat first? No, I'll just grab something on the way over. No, you don't. I'll have something here for you to eat. You are already doing so much for me that I don't want to cause you any more trouble. It's no problem, I'll see you this evening, thanks again, goodbye. Goodbye. I hung up the phone and called Mom to tell her. She said, oh okay, but that tomorrow night your Uncle Todd, Aunt Martha and the girls are coming over to dinner. I think there is something that your Uncle Todd wants to talk to you about. Have any idea what it is? No, but don't worry your pretty little head about this. I won't, Mom, I have to go, I'll see you later. I hung up and gave Megan her cell phone back. We started walking to the parking lot. My truck was parked next to one of the new lime green Volkswagen Beetles. I found myself thinking that, while I love my truck, how much I would like a cute little car like that Beetle. Oh well, one step at a time. We said goodbye, hugged and air kissed. I got into my truck and drove to Sarah's. When I got to the salon, Sarah, Liz, and Robin were still there. Robin and Liz hadn't seen me since me transformation. They were dumbstruck to say the least. They both thought I looked so cute and that I looked like I was all girl. We all laughed and I said thanks. Robin said that she knew a couple of guys she could introduce me to. I blushed and said thanks, but no thanks. Sarah asked me, "Have you thought about any more about increasing your hours by helping out with the phones and assisting the stylists?" I have been thinking about it, but I haven't decided what I am going to do. School has always come so easy to me that Mom had me constantly push myself by taking advanced classes. I have it all planned out, so I will finish all of my high school requirements by the end of this semester. Then, depending how I feel, I am going to either graduate early or take all electives the spring semester. If I graduate early, I may take you up on your offer to start an apprenticeship program. I really do like working here and I could see me trying this as a career. Is there any way that you could come in on Saturday to help out? I guess I could, but I would have to be out of here by 4:30 so I can get ready for my debut as a cheerleader. That won't be a problem. I assume that you will be coming in here on Saturday as Erin. What about after Saturday? I am really not sure. I have to talk with Megan's mom this evening and see if I can get a few things sorted out. You really do love being Erin, don't you? Yes, I do. That is why I am conflicted. Well, you will always have a job here whether you are Jamie or Erin. I was so overwhelmed that I wanted to start crying. Sarah sensed this, gave me a hug and told me to get to work. I guess the salon was fairly slow because it wasn't very dirty at all. I had everything done in about an hour and actually left as Sarah had just finished with her last client. As I was leaving, Sarah said, "Erin, who straightened your hair?" "Oh, I didn't have time this morning to roll it up, so I used Janice's flat iron to straighten it." "Well, you did a very nice job. Would you like me to show you how to curl your hair with a curling iron?" "Oh yes, that would be fantastic." "How long will it take? I have to be over to Megan's in a little less than an hour." "It won't take very long. Come over and sit in my chair." I sat in her chair and she proceeded to first tell me about products I should be using to protect my hair for the heat. She then showed me how to take small sections, spray it with the appropriate product and curl it. She then had me do it. The first time I burned my scalp, but after that, I was more cautious and soon it came pretty easy. We finished in plenty of time for me to be able to get to Megan's on time. Before I left, Sarah said, "Just something to think about. Yesterday I took a class in hair extensions and if you want some, then I'll just charge you for the hair. With your hair a little longer it would really open up the possibilities of what you can do. Just think about it." I said thanks and drove over to Megan's house. I knocked on the door and James answered it. I could still see in his eyes that he had doubts about me but was polite and friendly. He asked me if I was hungry as Diana had held off dinner until I got there. I said that I was famished and he showed me to the table. Megan and Diana were standing in the kitchen and came over and they both gave me a hug and air kiss. I had to laugh when I saw James roll his eyes. Megan commented on my now curly hair and I told her that Sarah showed me how to curl my hair with a curling iron. James just kind of shook his head and laughed at the same time. We sat down to eat. Megan had cooked dinner for us and I never realized how good a cook she was. She had started watching her mom and grandmother cook when she was little and over the years she helped and learned from them. This really surprised me because after almost a year of dating, she had never cooked for me before. Anyway, dinner was delicious and I decided that I needed my mom to teach me how to cook. After we finished eating, I started to help Megan clean up and she told me that she would get it and then I needed to go and talk with her mom. Diana took me to her study and we sat down and started to talk. She asked me a few questions on how I was feeling and that opened a floodgate for me. I think I talked nonstop for at least an hour. I went back to my earliest feelings, up through what I was feeling now and what I would probably want for the future. I even talked to her about my dreams and how they were evolving. It was like a huge weight had been lifted off me. I think I had told Mom, Janice, and Megan most of what I had just told Diana, but this seemed different. Maybe it was because I was telling it to someone else, or because, for the first time, was talking about it all at the same time, but things start to become very clear to me. These last 3 days have been the happiest of my life. Being Erin was so natural for me that the idea of having to go back to being Jamie really depressed me. I could feel Jamie giving a sigh of defeat and sinking deep into the back of my mind. Diana didn't take any notes, she just listened. The only talking she did was to ask a question to clarify something I had said. By the time we had finished, I felt like I had a confidant that I could tell anything to. Erin, from what you have said, you are showing all of the signs of a young person with a gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder. But with young people, we take things slow so that we make sure that this isn't just a phase. It seems though that you have had this pent up inside you for a very long time. What was most telling is how your dreams evolved from you and Megan to you and Sam. Thinking about Sam would be natural because he is your best friend. It means that your mind is thinking more like a female and not that you are actually attracted to Sam. That's good. I was getting a little worried, I laughed. What I would like to do is to have you and your mom over for dinner next week so we can talk more. I would like that, thanks. I'll ask Mom, but I am sure she will say yes. Let me know what day will work for you. At that time we will go over some options for you. And for the rest of the week, just try to relax and just enjoy being Erin. I said thank you again and we went out to find James and Megan watching television. They both wanted to know how it went and I said that I felt much better but that we still had some more work to do. I said good night to Diana and James. Then James said something that really made my night for me. You know that I have always liked you. It was nice having you come over because I always enjoyed having another guy to talk with. But, now that I think back on it, there were signs that you were putting off that I didn't immediately pick up on. Diana did pick up on these and she tried to tell me that she thought you were a little feminine. Regardless, I didn't really believe it until tonight. I can tell that you are more girl than some real girls are. I guess what I am trying to say is that if there is anything, at all, that I can do to help you, please let me know. I said thank you and that I really appreciated his offer. But I had a lot of thinking to do and a lot of work ahead of me with Diana. I gave him a big hug, said thank you and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Surprisingly, he didn't even blush. Megan walked me out to my truck. I am so glad that your mom had me come over to talk with her. I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. For the first time I really feel like I am Erin. Mom and I are going to come over next week for dinner and your mom is going to talk with us then and discuss my options. See, I told you. You are Erin and my best girlfriend. With that we hugged and said good night. I got into my truck and drove home. When I got home, Mom asked how it went. I sat down, hugged her and told her everything. We talked for a couple of hours. I told her about what I had said to Diana, what James had said to me and about the job offer that Sarah had given me. She said that if I wanted to graduate early that was fine with her. But she wanted me to be sure that this was something I really wanted to pursue. I told her that I would like to try it and if it didn't work out, I would go to college, which seemed to make her happy. She said she would call Diana and set a date for us to have dinner together. I thanked her again for everything she had done for me and for her unequivocal support for me. She laughed and said she didn't have a choice because she was my mother. I hugged and kissed her goodnight and went to my room. I went to my room and before I started to undress I looked at myself in the mirror. I was so pleased with what I saw. I couldn't have been happier, unless everything was for real. I knew then and there that I wanted to be Erin forever. With that, my mind sort of snapped and I had just killed off the last of Jamie. Erin was so pleased with herself she couldn't help but gloat over the fact that she had thoroughly defeated Jamie. I undressed down to my bra and panties and went to the bathroom. I removed my makeup, cleansed my piercings and very painfully replaced my new earrings with my original gold studs with the little gold hoops. I had learned my lesson and they weren't going to come out again until my ears had healed. I went back to my room, finished getting undressed, put on my satin nightgown and fell into bed. As I was nodding off, the day's events went through my head and I felt a very real sense of warmth and contentment. As I was sleeping, my dreams came back. This time Megan wasn't in it. I wasn't pregnant anymore, but instead I was married to Sam and we had a little baby girl.